and welcome to a new edition of Plugged In. We have Chamber of Commerce update, industry announcements, famous people, and more coming up in the next half hour, so stay tuned and we'll get started. As you've just heard, Strathroy is on the grow, but it isn't just big business that's taking notice. Recently, Strathroy played the proud host of one of the biggest names in professional hockey. It wasn't Don Cherry, but some say this man is even bigger.
It's amazing you'll find showing up in our small town of Strathroy, Ontario. Tonight with us we have MacLean, host of Hockey Night in Canada, who's reffing the Strathroy Rockets game.
The Rockets have been an integral part of the growth of the town of Strathroy, bringing renewed enthusiasm for the Canada's national game here in Strathroy. I would like to commend the Rockets for bringing tonight's guest a true national icon. No picture of Canadian culture would be complete without the sounds and voices of Hockey Night in Canada and the face of MacLean. So on behalf of the town, I'd like to welcome you to Strathroy and thank you very much for coming and gracing us with your presence.
Thank you very much.
Whitey Stapleton, Pat Stapleton's been really involved in the Rockets' resurgence and helping the program here. And when I was a young kid in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, my parents were visiting some family. Pat was playing an exhibition softball game, and I got his autographs. One of only 3 NHLers whose autograph I received as a kid, Gordie Howe and Bobby Hull. And so it's long overdue that I return a favor to Pat. And his son Mike's a really good friend and one of the fine NHLers. So, and the other factor is Don Van Mazenhoven is a Strathroy referee who was a great OHA official and now in the NHL. And it's kind of a favor to Don too to come down and help out with the program here. When I was a kid, like all of us, I thought, well, I'll be an NHL ref, and then my career kind of saw me in the NHL so quick that fouled that up a little bit. Not that saying I would have made it, but I had that ambition. And then I thought I would be an Olympic referee, and then the NHL got involved in that and sort of took that away from us amateur officials. So now, like all of us, I just sort of stumble along and hope for a good either an international assignment or a major junior assignment in the country. But the truth be known, I mean, you're so tied up with, in my case, the NHL, that just to get out to Strathroy and I'll be in Mississauga Sunday, that's enough for me probably.
What exactly got you started with Hockey Night in Canada?
Well, I was in Red Deer doing the TV weather, and a producer at Hockey Night in Canada who's still there, a chap named John Shannon. TSN had begun their operation and rated a lot of the Western correspondents, John Wells out of Edmonton, Jim Van Horn out of Calgary, and so they were looking to replace those individuals, and John Shannon, this producer based in Calgary, had seen me do weathercasts and thought, well, you know, the kid can ad-lib, and he's young, we could work with him. So he offered me an audition in 1984 to be the host of the Calgary Flames telecasts, and it just went from there. I was lucky enough to land that position, and 2 years later, they needed a chap in Toronto to host the Wednesday night Maple Leaf telecasts, and called me up to do that. So it was a lot of luck, to tell you the truth. Well, you know, it's funny. My father was in the Air Force. I was an only child, and neither Mom or Dad were really athletically inclined and didn't follow sports per se, but Dad was in the Air Force and stationed in Whitehorse in the Yukon, where winter sets in late August and lasts till mid-May. And our neighbors, the Clements, across the street had a backyard rink, so it's a very typical Canadian story. I'm 4 years old, and before you know it, I'm on skates, and I just grew to love the game. And in those years, in the mid-'60s, we didn't even get live Hockey Night in Canada. We actually received 2-inch tapes of the telecasts 1 week late. So I was a kid watching the Leafs play for the Cup, cheering like a madman, not knowing, of course, that it was a week old, the result. And that's how I got hooked on hockey, and then I sort of, like all kids, played minor hockey all the way up to midget AAA and then juvenile A, and when I was juvenile A, I realized I hadn't made the junior A team, so I wasn't going anywhere, and I had embarked on my radio broadcasting career through a bit of luck, and I thought there were no masks, I might be, you know, taking a chance here, getting my teeth clipped, so a friend was in refereeing, suggested I should try it, and I did, and that was '78, and I stuck with it ever since. It's pure escapism for the 3 hours, you know, in spite of all that we do here and the fun we're having. When that puck goes down tonight, now for 2.5 hours, I'll have nothing to think about. Not Don Cherry, not what to have in the house for the weekend. It's just a great form of recreation, and if you love hockey, if you love being on the ice, the interaction with the players is something you always cherish. It's that camaraderie you hear so much about. So those are the recreation and the fun of being with people to make the game it's never lost on you. You'll take that with you as long as you can.
Ron commented on the difference between sportscasting for Hockey Night in Canada and refereeing a Junior B Strathroy Rockets game.
The NHL is, you know, it asks a lot of the player. They put a lot of pressure on them because of the money involved. They travel them extensively. You know, they are in planes all the time. They play an 82-game schedule, and they're asked to go 9.5 weeks to win the Stanley Cup. So I think that there's a bit of pacing involved that you only learn through experience. You know, it would be easy to say the skill levels, etc., are all heightened. But I think parity, you know, the fact that two Junior B teams may be equal and always will offset the skill level. What makes for a great game is whether the two sides are competitive. And I can remember one weekend working as a referee a Colonial Hockey League game in St. Thomas, a Junior C game in Dundas, a Junior A game in Brandon, Manitoba, and broadcasting an NHL game. And the best of the 4 games was the Junior C game in Dundas. So you never know where you're going to see the best game. I get almost more excitement or adrenaline rush out of being at center ice during the anthem to referee a big Junior A playoff game than I get a sense of adrenaline rushing through me to broadcast the Stanley Cup Finals game for the CBC. There's a little more pressure as an official than there is as a broadcaster.
Well, I better let you go get dressed now. Thanks.
Cheers, Derek. Pleasure.
From the West Middlesex Memorial Arena in Strathroy for Plugged In, I'm Derek Blaine.